Yeah, I just made a video, but I didn't really know exactly what I was talking about, so I was kind of rambling. Um, I guess I could just use this time to really just talk. I don't know. I don't think I've given this page like enough about me, just like stuff that I've been through and stuff that I'm going through, or stuff that I'm just thinking. So, I mean, I guess I could start. I really just love movies and music. I've loved it since I was a kid. Like, my favorite franchises, Harry Potter. It still is to this day. But I've always been watching movies and music. Like, they've been a part of my life since for as long as I can remember. I remember like my older sister would put music on my phone, and then like once I learned how to download music onto my phone back in them days where you could get everything off of YouTube, it was over. It was really over after that, and I think that that time was really pivotal for me growing up. I would say that's like around middle school, honestly. Um, but yeah, it was just always there. Movies were always there. Music was always there. Um, you know, Going to school for it was interesting because like in middle school I went to like a specialized middle school, talented and gifted and talented, so they say. Not to take anything away from the middle school, but like I just thought I was very snobby at the time. But I went for creative writing specifically, and I think that always just stuck with me. Like I love stories, I love writing. Um, I love the just the practice of writing. Like I remember a couple weeks back, or maybe like a few months back, um, I was in this like really just crazy writing, just drive mode. Like I wrote probably like a good 10 to 15 pages of a story that I have not touched since. Um, but it was just the act of just sharpening my pencils and writing in my notebook. Like I felt like a kid again. So I think that's something that I definitely need to do more. Um, yeah, I you know I'm definitely a storyteller at heart. I definitely love seeing something go from a script to screen, or from somebody's brain into a DAW, and then into the speakers, and that shit becomes reality. Like, excuse me. That shit is really fire to me, and I think that you know people only try to downplay things that they know have the potential to be really strong, or really everlasting. And I think the fact that art gets downplayed a lot, you know, thankfully nowadays it doesn't seem to be like it is a part of culture and like how we conduct our day to day. But there's definitely periods of time where like those structures have been looked down upon, or just heavily like centralized, monopolized and shit. So um but through it all we keep it pushing. I started making music in high school. I went to high school from 2014 to 2018, and during that time I took a long break. I made 3 songs with my friend, my brother Zion, in freshman year of high school. And I kind of just didn't have that drive after that. It was honestly because I was in a relationship at the time that was weird in itself. But I definitely do think if I was single during that time, it would have been a different outlook on just life. Like, I think my focus was very, heavily swayed, I would say. So I took a break from making music. I was still into the movies. I had a very big, like, a very strong phase where I really wanted to take basketball serious, but after a hefty conversation with some friends, I had to kind of redirect myself. And I always knew that, like, through it all, I still loved film. And I was like, yo, you know what? I'm going to be a filmmaker, whatever that means, whatever that looks like. When I was in middle school, though, I remember applying to this program. It's called, like, Prep for Prep. I didn't get in, or I'd never really heard back from them, honestly. I think they ghosted me. But I remember going for the interview, and they was asking me, like, what do I want to be when I grow up? And at the time, me and my sister, we were, like, heavily on, like, iMovie and shit. Like, that was, like, the first time I knew about iMovie. So whenever I fall in love with something, I, like, really fall into it for an indefinite amount of time. So back then, I was really just, I loved iMovie. I loved, like, Photo Booth, like, when you could just take videos of all of that stuff and just, just make shit. So I said I wanted to be a film editor. And it's just crazy that, I think about that time a lot, because it's like, I knew I wanted to be around movies, but I could have said I wanted to write movies, because I was already in middle school for writing. I could have said write movies. I could have said make movies. But I specifically said I want to edit movies. And I think in my head I knew that meant make movies, but it was just a specific, like, act of, cutting and pasting it on the timeline that I, like, really just love. And clearly that love hasn't gone anywhere. It's only gotten stronger. I'm thankful that we live in a world where it's actually needed now, because at the time it did feel like film was such a far-fetched thing. Like, it still kind of is because of industry standards and whatnot, but now it's a little different with, like, the real heavy presence of social media, and just, like, how you can really create your own production company now, just through YouTube and through just a good good resources and a good couple scripts and ideas. Like, I think you could really cut out the middleman in that way. But back in 2016 to 18, that was starting. It was starting up back then, but it still felt like, all right, nah, you have to go to school. You might have to go to school twice, and then you have to go get a job, working under somebody for 10, 20 years, and then you'll get to make your first movie. Like, and things, while they still do persist like that, it is kind of different now, which is pretty exciting, I will say. I think a lot about applying to school, figuring out what I wanted to major in. Had a conversation with one of my favorite teachers from high school to this day. Shout out Mr. Parker. Music guru, you know what I'm saying? Like, heavy. But we were speaking one day, after it was after school, in between classes, sometime. And I told him, like, he asked me, like, what I wanted to do, what I wanted to do for school and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to school for film. At the time, I wasn't sure yet where I was going. And he was like, nah, you gotta go to school for, like, business or something, like, that you could hold on to. Basically, pretty much saying, like, yeah, you need something, like, more tangible. And, I think about that conversation a lot, because I ended up getting a film degree. And not to say, like, it wasn't fruitful or it hasn't been fruitful, but I have definitely thought about the idea of, like, damn, like, I could have, put my eggs in somewhere else, and then, once I have the means, do the film, you know, it's the main question of like what to really prioritize and then what to do on the side. Um, and you know, it's when it comes to chasing your dreams, sometimes you don't really think too practically. And I was a very like, you know, I was a very optimistic, you know, teenager growing up. Like I felt like because I did good in school and because like, you know, I never really got into trouble, um, like I felt like okay, things would work out themselves in a way. And I wish that I had more, you know, just I kind of got like wish I got out more, wish I experienced a little bit more, you know, during that time. But you know, it is a very I don't know. Not to say like I'm not optimistic now. Like I still have those, you know, that vigor in me. But back then it was just like I was kind of just like, you know, while like kind of just figured that like, you know, because I was good in school that I'd be good in life. And I could say now that that's not true at all. Like school is important and I still do think that school is important. And you know, through all the bullshit, like I still learned shit that I still carry to this day. And you know, that's where, like college specifically, I learned how to like really, you know, fend for myself. And I think everybody should experience at least that. Um, but I wish there was just more of a like an alternate route, like a I don't know, just a more creative, you know, route that doesn't feel as like, you know, when you get out of school that it's just like you don't really know where to go or you gotta work somewhere that you don't really want to. Like I'm all about like, you know, building creative spaces and, you know, developing, you know, those type of communities. So I don't know. I'm getting all types of places with this one, but I kind of just wanted to, you know, just talk to you a little bit. This is almost done. You know, yeah, I think, you know, when it comes to making decisions, you know, you're gonna learn stuff. So, and I think at the end of the day, you wake up, you go to sleep. In between that time, you're gonna learn something, you know. So don't regret what you know, have done, did, you know. If those decisions that you make, you know, they've made you who you are today. I'll say that. Now, I'm not talking about like committing crimes and shit. Like, you know, if you regret a crime you commit, that's definitely understandable. This is a non-criminal guy speaking. I'm just a dude. So that's one. But I just mean more so on like the just day-to-day decisions that you make, and some of those like real important decisions that you make too. Because there's opportunity everywhere. There's opportunity even when it feels like there isn't. And yeah, just keep the ball rolling. You got this. Uh, Thank you for listening to, you know, me ramble about my backstory and shit. And yeah, until the next one, tap in with me. Holla at y'all.